Woman Show. Today I have a fantastic guest. You're going to love her. Her name is Dee Murphy, and we're going to be talking about joyful transformation, thriving, not just surviving. Welcome, everyone. I'm Virginia Parsons, your host, and it really is my passion to provide you, the entrepreneur, with a goldmine of inspirational tips, strategies, and advice to help you grow your business from inspirational businesswomen in the know. And I'm so excited to bring Dee Murphy's wisdom, lifelong experience, and the transformation she provides to all of you here today. So I'm really happy that you're here to join us. Now, I know your time is also valuable, and I want to honor that. However, we're going to play the intro preview trailer for you. And while you're watching that, would you do us a big favor? Would you please help spread the word? Let people know that this interview is going on right now, because this is going to be so powerful for so many entrepreneurial women. So I'm going to play that now, and then we'll get started with the interview. All right, I think you can see that we're in for a real treat and all about how to create the life that you love. And who doesn't want that, correct? All right, today's show is sponsored by hangout-marketing.com, where you can receive a complimentary live stream marketing assessment. Now, why might you want to take that? Well, because it helps guide you through what you need to do to prepare yourself to be a great guest, to be great online, and to help get your visibility out there so the world can see you, know you, and want to work with you. So if you'd like to take advantage of that, all you have to do is text pound success to 775-800-4179. And if you're out of the country, just go to hangout-marketing.com. All right, so I want to get right to the interview because I know Dee has so much to share with us. And let me introduce you to her background just a little bit, and then she's going to go into it in more detail. But listen, if you struggle with life transitions, such as making ends meet, feeling like you don't fit in, you have an unfulfilling job, an unsatisfying relationship, money struggles, or no time left for you, really, if you are ready to stop struggling and thrive in life, Dee Murphy will guide you to a joyful transformation so you rediscover your joy and purpose in life. So here's the topics we're going to cover today. One is discover hidden mind stories that limit your success. Then we're going to talk about instantly shifting your energy with life-affirming mind stories instead of the others. And finally, how to create the life you love using daily rituals. Now, Dr. Dee Murphy is an empowerment coach for women veterans. a veteran herself with 47 years of nursing experience, including supporting veterans with behavioral health issues. She intimately understands all the challenges women veterans face, regardless of how long they have been out of service. Dee empowers these remarkable women, helping them navigate the chaos of change while rediscovering their joy and their purpose, which enables them to thrive in a post-service life. Her expertise applies equally well to all women entrepreneurs, and so that's why I'm excited to bring her to my viewers today. So welcome, Dee. Come on in and say hi to our audience, won't you?
Well, thank you, Jenny. I am so honored to be here. I'm so passionate about my program and what I do that I just wanted to sort of spread the word. I consider myself a healer, a mentor, a teacher, veteran, a holistic nurse, and a student. I learn from everybody I interact with. My calling is to help women veterans live the life they love. I call my program Trailblazers, and my focus is on uncovering the wise women warrior that lies within.
Oh, wonderful. I want to thank you for coming and sharing all of your wisdom with everyone, because life experience is so important, isn't it? It's about how we all grow, how we evolve, and how we transform first our lives, but then, as you are doing, transform the lives of so many others. So I love that you're here to share a lot of your wisdom and experience today. And I think it really starts with your background, because this is what makes us who we are in the moment, isn't it? We go
Yeah.
through different life's transitions, and here we are today. I mean, I would never have known that I would be broadcasting this show, and now 10 years later, I'm in my 10th season, right? But 10 years ago, 11 years ago, you could never have told me that this is one of the things I would be so passionate about. So why don't you start with where you think, the transformations for you began, and let people know a little bit about your background.
All right. Well, thank you. I started my original business back in the late 90s. I was sort of a trailblazer myself back then as an energy worker, remote healer, and mentor. I actually ran what's called the Lightkeepers Healing Network. And then in 2001, I decided my goal was to do more than heal. It was to open hearts and minds and to teach people how to do what I did. I believe then, and still do, that we're really not tapping into our full selves as energy beings, having an experience in the physical. And somehow we've left our ability to create behind, and we're not using our inner guidance system as much as we could be. In 2003, I realized I had to do more than open minds. I had to change minds. I updated my focus to opening hearts and changing minds, because we have to start looking at our thought patterns. And then as I'm doing that in 2005 and 2006, I ran into what I call a chaotic bundle with a divorce after 21 years. I lost my business. I lost my home in foreclosure. I was alone for the first time in my life without a partner. And to top things off, I received a cancer diagnosis just as I started a new job in a new state. And I got the diagnosis while I was away from my home, traveling around to do inspections of healthcare facilities. And then, with all of that going on, I'm alone. I decided, well, I'll call my parents. And so my parents came down to help me out with the surgery. But I realized, reflecting, that all of this happened because I was asking for it to, not asking for bad things to happen, but asking for clarity on my life. And I came to the realization that relationships that don't support you, you have to let them go. Jobs that don't bring you joy, you have to let those go. Working hard doesn't get you ahead, it holds you back. Waiting for someone else to accomplish something first holds you back. I put off getting my degree so that my husband could get his, and then the promises never happened. So it's sort of like I kept believing somebody else's story. So I have to hold true to my story. And that's what I try to teach all of the women that I work with.
Wow, my goodness. Well, what you're really pointing out here is that chaos, wow, major chaos, Major chaos can lead to clarity. And sometimes we got to go through the chaos or the storm or the dark clouds or the lowest points in our life in order to get the clarity we need to move forward in a much more positive way. So I'm sure you viewers out there can appreciate this, because probably every one of you has been through some kind of dark time, chaos, or some time where you just thought, what's going on? Why is life so difficult? And Dee's really explaining that there's real purpose in that. So if you're getting some value already from what Dee's sharing about her background, I just want to hear from you in the comment section. You know, if you hear a gem today, go ahead and put #gem and let us know what that is for you. What does her background bring up for you? And this is how we make this show so much more valuable for all of us here, because it gets us thinking, right? And so, Dee, I want you to go ahead, because I know you're not quite through with this background, but it's powerful to just pause and realize that these experiences are actually opportunities, aren't they, Dee?
They are. It's sort of like, I reflect always on why things happened the way they did, not, oh, poor me. It's, why did it happen? What is the information the universe is providing me? And in this case, it was to just totally, dismantle what I'd been doing in the past and move forward. And it got me thinking about myself as a veteran and a woman. And I realized that when I entered the military, I was one person, and I had to change who I was in order to survive and enjoy working in a male dominated institution. And then when I got out, my transformation in the military didn't work for me as a civilian. And as a matter of fact, what was really surprising is I'm a nurse, and I thought, oh, no problem. When I get out of the service after 10 years, I'll be able to get a job without any issue. And I was told by the civilian institutions that they didn't want to hire me because of my military experience. And I went, wow, I was really blown away by that, and it shook me up. They felt that I was going to color outside the lines and maybe go into Superwoman and rescue people, and not follow the rules and regulations of my license. So when I got that, I decided, well, all right, I'll continue working in the government for a while. And I went and worked in the VA, which was the greatest opportunity ever. I truly got to see the experience that veterans go through in the military and post-service. Because a lot of them come out with a lot of mental health issues. And so it wasn't a bad thing that I ended up working in the VA. It was a great thing for me. Now, fast forward to today, after all that chaos, I'm happy, I'm joyful, I'm healthy, I'm vibrant. I have a home in New Mexico and one in Maryland. I spend time with my family in New England. I travel, and I'm living the life I love, and I'm mentoring others to do the same. So I am living joyful transformation, thriving, not just surviving.
Woohoo! All right. I love happy endings, right? And yet, of course, you're thriving, so that it's not really an ending. It's a happy transformation. And so I'm really pleased that you shared the expansiveness of this story, because it really lays the foundation for the work that you're doing at this point. And that moves us right into our first topic, and that's about hidden mind stories, right? And how those hidden mind stories really interfere with our moving forward and feeling successful in all areas of our life. So why don't you go ahead and start sharing what, first of all, is a hidden mind story, and then how do you discover it in your own life? Go ahead.
Thanks, Jenny. Well, a mind story is a tale we tell ourselves. And for example, I mentioned to you that I postponed my doctorate program because my husband and I agreed that he could go first. And so I believed that things would work out and I'd be able to have my turn next. Well, that never happened. Other things that we say to ourselves is, if we save enough money, then we can have a child. If you would stop leaving your stuff around the house, then our marriage would be wonderful. If I make enough money, I can buy a new car. And these things, the other thing about the hidden part is, I'm going to go and do this. And then the little voice comes in, sort of sits on your shoulder, and it says, that's never going to happen. even if it's something that you really want. So we all have these beliefs and thoughts that keep coming back. It's the little person on our shoulder saying, you're never going to be able to do that. And so that's just a key to mind stories. They're the beliefs that we've been telling ourselves all our lives, that we learned from our parents, from our peers, from our church, from our workplace. We've learned them every place we've been, and our mind never forgets.
I call those misperceptions. And I agree. They're like voices that sit on your shoulder. I call them little imps. I like to just flick them off the shoulder because they have no business interrupting what I desire, what my thoughts and desires are in life. So they're sort of hidden. Some are pretty blatant, right? I mean, because you can just hear yourself saying, oh, you'll never be able to do that. Or, that's pretty highfalutin thinking and that sort of thing. But the hidden ones, I think that you're referencing a little bit more they're not so readily available. And so they make it harder for you to work with them and put them in their place, so to speak. Do you have any sort of technique or process that you use to help people find those that are buried under the surface?
Well, I'd say the biggest way to do this is to think about something you really want to do, and then notice what's the next thought that comes into your mind. And half the time, we really don't pay attention. It's sort of like an automatic response. So notice what pops up. And when you notice it, write it down. And then think about how can you change that into a positive that supports your dream rather than letting it stay in the negative.
Oh, great. So it's really all about awareness then. And as a result, you can almost start to play with that awareness, right? And as you're saying, start to think about it in the positive. And I think that really moves us into the second point that you wanted to share with people. And that is about instantly shifting, right? Some kind of instant shift of your energy with what you would call affirming mind stories, correct?
Correct.
All right, let's hear more about that.
All right. I call this changing your mind. And it's important when you're shifting your mind stories that you're telling yourself the truth. An example of not telling yourself the truth would be you have money problems and you go, I am a millionaire, when you're not. The first step is notice and be aware of these negative thoughts or mind stories or beliefs. And the second is to shift your focus away from the mind story onto what you want, not what you don't want.
Okay, that sounds easy, but that don't want always seems to creep into the way. So when you're talking about instant, how often do you have to repeat this instant process in order to have it start to dominate?
Well, it is a work in progress, and you have to do it more at the beginning. And I have an example of a story of one of my clients who did instantly shift her energy with an affirming story that I'd like to tell you.
Great.
Okay, this is an 87-year-old woman who was participating in a walking contest over the summer. She lives in Massachusetts, and so the goal in her community was that everybody was going to walk, I think it was 150 miles over this summer period. And she's a tiny person, less than 100 pounds, and about 5 feet tall. And one day she was out walking. She had a goal and she was going to meet it. And she started getting angry. It was so windy. And she got really angry with the wind. And it just was, upsetting her so much that she left. She went home and she sat down and had a cup of tea. And part of the things that we work on in the program is, okay, when you get upset or something, you're starting to blame something for what's going on, sit down and take a look at how can you shift it into something positive. And so she thought about it for a while, and she says, I'm not really mad at the wind. The wind is my friend. I was angry that I wasn't going to be able to finish my walk because it was so windy. And then the more I got mad at the wind, the worse the wind became. So she says, I decided that I'm going to go out and carry, it's like a whirligig, a pinwheel. She says, I'm going to carry a pinwheel to show the wind that if it blows, it can blow the pinwheel and we can have fun. So, it started first of all as a motivation factor because she really wanted to walk. She wanted to meet her goal and she didn't, and wind was a problem for her. But she changed it into something positive. So she went out and she carried this pinwheel. And what she noticed was it did make her happier when she was walking. She carries one with her every day, she says. Now she started carrying two because what she noticed is people are now smiling back at her, and she'll stop and they'll talk about the pinwheel. They'll ask her why she's doing it. And she's actually given a number of them away. So because she's finding that as she's accepting the wind and making it her friend, everybody else is starting to receive some joy from the whole experience as well.
I love that story. First of all, I love that she's in her 80s and she's got walking goals for herself, because I think that's just so important as we get older. So I think that was great that she had that goal in the first place, because part of it is setting goals for yourself as you mature in life. And then the fact that she was able to transform what she thought was not her friend into a friend, a playful friend, is really an immediate transformation. And I just love it. So when you're thinking about how you instantly transform or shift, as you called it, shift your energy so that you now have what we call a positive success mind story. In her case, it was about the pinwheel, made the walk, even with the challenge of the wind, more fun. Plus, she had more interaction. So she ended up shifting in a way that brought benefits she never would have anticipated as well, right?
That's right. And as a matter of fact, I happened to go out there in September and went on a couple of walks with her. And it was amazing. There was actually a young man, a student, who was sticking his head out of a school bus, waving at her, going, "Is it you? Is it you?" And she has cars that honk at her. She had a policeman stop and say, "I'm going to have to pull you over, ma'am, because you're walking too fast." And she even ended up in the newspaper because of her joy with walking, because they decided to make it a positive police story about pulling over somebody for walking too fast.
All right.
So
Well, I love this shift message. Okay. So you are helping women veterans in particular, but I know also you want to help women who feel stuck. All the things we talked about in the beginning is feeling stuck around all sorts of instances in your life that are taking the joy away, that are pushing you down energetically, emotionally, and even physically, and so that they really can live the life that they love. I think that's just, first of all, amazing aspiration on your part that this is really where you found yourself after all these years in nursing as a veteran, helping people, that this is where you have arrived, because I can tell it brings you a ton of joy. I can see it in your expression and your smile. And so I love that, because that's radiating out anyway. All right. So let's give them the goods here, Dee. And that is, how can they create the life that they love, using daily rituals?
all right. Well, as humans, we do a lot of things that I call rituals. They're automatic behaviors, and they give the unconscious mind, which is part of what gets us into trouble, knowing that something is going to happen and that it's safe. And some rituals we do automatically. We get out of bed, we brush our teeth, we make breakfast, we check the news, we check our emails, we drive our car. All of those are sort of automatic. So what I encourage everybody to do is start creating the life you love with daily rituals that support you as a woman. And the first place to start is thinking about, when you're there getting ready to get out of bed, what is the first thing that you do? And one of the most important things to remember is if you're focused, wherever you're focusing your attention, is what's showing your brain that that is the most important thing to you in your life. So if you lay in bed and you check your phone for emails or messages, or you look at the latest news stories, or you turn on the television and listen to the news, or you go right out and you make breakfast for your family and you chug yours down standing at the stove, or do you hit the snooze button several times? Do you realize that you're programming your brain to tell, and you're telling it that number one, everybody else is more important than me, and number two, if you set your snooze, your alarm to get up to do something specifically for you in particular, and you keep hitting the snooze button, you're telling yourself that you're not as important, that what you had planned to do for you wasn't important. So it's just something to think about, is start your day off with something that is going to show you that you are important.
I love that. And I have never thought about that. I mean, I really do get out of bed. I wake up, I get out of bed, and I'm just going for my cup of coffee. And it's organic and it's low acid, and I add my bone broth to it and all that good stuff. So I am doing some good things for me, but I'm not thinking of it beyond that as far as the first emotion or the first thought form that I have in the morning, because I'm just trying to get my thoughts going. But I think that you're making a really valid point, because what you're saying, if I'm hearing you correctly, is that you're setting the tone for your day. And if you change the way you start the day, you are, and make a decision that you're going to give yourself a little more support, and you do something that takes care of you first thing in the morning, that is going to transfer throughout the rest of your day. Is that what we're talking about here?
Oh, exactly. I tell everybody to try to have fun with this. It's not going to be another chore added to your plate when you're already busy. It's about you and finding something, one little tiny thing that's important to you. And you mentioned, Ginny, about getting up and having your coffee and putting bone broth in. You're actually making a moment, a special moment for you. And what I recommend people do is recognize and tell yourself that this is for me and I am enjoying it. And the next step I say to do is go sit by a window or go sit out on your porch and look at just the beautiful day that's unfolding outside. So sort of enhance the moment. And it just takes a few minutes. We're not talking an hour, we're talking 2 or 3 minutes where you just focus on you and enjoying that beverage, enjoying your nutrition for the first, something for you right at the beginning. And other examples is you have fun with it. For example, I tell myself every day I create a special moment, and it doesn't take a lot. Today, I'm going to go sit in a coffee shop and actually enjoy eating a scone and a cup of coffee and not look at my phone. I am not going to read a book. I'm just going to enjoy sitting there in the moment, exploring the tastes, and having that drink. And then at the end of the day, I think about, just for a few minutes, how did I do today? Focusing on me. Did I do my one creative thing just for me? Or did I start it off with, I turned on my phone and started watching the news and reading my emails? And when I got home, did I have time to play with my pets, play with my family? Did I have fun today in whatever I did? The key is, don't force it, let it be fun, simple, and easy. And the other key is, focus on the positive. We get so hung up on what's not going well, what's not going right. Focus on the positive.
Well, that sort of sums it up in a nutshell. I mean, what you're saying is starting with the ritual where you pause and actually acknowledge that you are taking care of you in some way, detach from the phone, detach from the internet, all that stuff, and just pay attention to the moment. Are you guys all hearing this? The moment is so important. living in the now experience and appreciating it is really valuable. And I think that also works back to your idea about shifting as well. Because if you shift by being in the moment instead of all those voices that want to undermine you from past stuff or future fears and just be in the moment, that's a shift in and of itself. So I love that idea. So this is all about appreciating you, appreciating the space that you create around you, and taking just a few minutes. No one says it has to, take up that much part of your day. So I appreciate that. I do that with my Zen walks, Dee. And that is where I really walk, not for the exercise, I walk for the experience of being in the now and being surrounded by the environment and actually being part of that environment, and let the mind go still. I love those times that I do that, and I need to do it more often than I do, but I do plan on my Zen walks on a regular basis. So I think this is just really valuable information. I'd love to hear from all of you. What have you heard from Dee today that really struck a chord with you, that you thought was a gem idea, a gem strategy? Because I've heard lots of them, and I'd love to hear from all of you as well. Now, Dee, I know that you have a special gift. Let me bring this up for everyone. Dee has a very special gift. We're going to have her share it with you. But first, I want to make sure you have the address where to get it. So you can get her gift at shinetips.com/Dee gift, D spelled DEE, if you're just listening today. Shinetips.com/Dee gift. Dee, tell them what they have to look forward to.
Well, I pulled together some tips and tricks for thriving beyond surviving. And so I've got a very colorful handout with some information and some things, some steps that you can follow. It gives you 4 steps as to how to take a look at your life and start transforming it into the life you love.
All right, so I'm sure you can realize that this is going to be a great gift for you. You're going to have 4 steps that are going to help you move forward into the life that you love. I know Dee's gift, I've seen it, and it's well worth picking up. So go ahead and do that. Now, Dee, I really would love to close out today with maybe some final words of wisdom. One final thought that you want to make sure that the viewers take home with them, regardless of everything else you've said, which has been brilliant. So take it away.
All right. Well, thank you. The key is to recognize you can change, and changing your mind and opening your heart is really the way to go about it. Take a few moments every day just to focus on the beauty and the wonder that is you. And that's really the best advice I can give. And I do encourage that you find a partner or a coach that can work with you, because a lot of times we fool ourselves into thinking that we're doing exactly what we want to do, but we still have some hidden messages that we may not be recognizing. So working with someone who can help you sort of identify those really will make a difference.
And as a result, transform your life to live the life that you love. And that's what this has all been about today. Dee, I want to thank you so much for being here with us. And I want to thank all of you, the viewers, for taking the time. I'm sure you found that this time was valuable, and you're going to pause and take some time for you today and start a ritual and do something like that each and every day. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, Dee. And we'll see you all on the next Inspirational Businesswoman show. Bye-bye now. Thanks so much for watching today. Do you know someone who would be a great guest for our show? Or would you like to be a guest on the Inspirational Businesswoman show? Let's shine the spotlight on your expertise. We'll share your story while offering tips, strategies, and advice to our viewers. Expert interviews are a great way to build your reputation as the go-to expert. Go to shinetips.com/IBWS to apply today. Women are waiting for your message, and I can't wait to interview you.
One of my clients, an 87-year-old woman, was participating in a walking contest over the summer. She lives in Massachusetts, and they had some sort of summer thing to get people out and get active. And she's 87 years old, and she's a tiny person, less than 100 pounds. And she had a goal to walk the number of miles. I think it was 150 over a 3-month period. And one day she was walking and she was so upset. The wind was blowing really hard and she was getting angry, and the anger was at the wind because it was keeping her from her